Yes, today we are going to learn the poem which is written by the Japanese Canadian writer Hiromi Goto, The Body Politic. What's the theme of this poem? The body politic means the politics on the basis of the body. We know that separation is there in this world on many grounds. Um, on class, on caste, on education. And we know that this separation is there. It's more severe on the basis of body or color. The Europeans are entirely different from the Mongolians in their body appearance. We know the Indians are entirely different from the Mongolians as well as the Europeans. So people from different parts possess different look or different body features. So on the basis of these kinds of body appearances or body features, people are being segregated or separated from one culture to the other. Let's learn the poem, or let's go through the poem in detail in the coming slides. Hiromi Goto is an immigrant to Canada with her parents. She was brought up in Canada, but in her appearance, she always looked different from the natives or from the whites. This poem is saying about these kinds of separation she has experienced from the society in Canada. She was very well educated, and she identified herself as a writer, and she served as a writer in residence for various universities and libraries in Canada. That is, writer in residence means a person that is obviously he or she will be a writer who is serving as a resource person in a university to teach children how to write or how to mold their writing skills. Her works are roaming about, or it is about myth, folklore, and such elements of Japan. From her childhood onwards, she used to listen to the stories, especially from Japan, from her father. So naturally, her poems and her works are incorporated or consists of all these Japanese elements. We know that her works have different themes like race, gender, culture, fantasy, horror, myth, etc. We know that she has experienced all these elements in her life. That is why she has incorporated or she has used all these different elements in her poems. Let's analyze the poem. As introduction, we know that the poem is purely about racialization or discrimination of the immigrants, as the poet has suffered a lot as a school student. It that she has experienced discrimination from her classmates because most of the classmates were whites and they see her as a person of being with different features. Her eyes are not like them, her hair is not at all similar to theirs. All these things discriminated her, and they used to ask some curious questions to Hiromi Goto when she was a child. This consciousness is there in the mind of our poet from her childhood onwards. Saying that the body, the color, mm, and the features are very significant in one's life because they categorize people as normal or other. Who is a normal man or normal woman? Because the natives consider, not at all the natives, but the whites in Canada considered themselves as the normal people, and they considered the people with different features apart from them as the other. According to them, Hiromi Goto is from the other category because she is not normal. She is not a white girl. She is from Japan and she possesses some Japanese features like almond shape eyes and straight hair. Uh, some Mongolian look will be there in her. Her height is very short when we are comparing to the Europeans or the whites. So all these elements are entirely different from the uh, normal or the white students. Japanese symbols, images, and even her photograph to reflect her racialized identity. Even though she was brought up from her early childhood onwards in Canada, she was very curious to listen to Japanese stories, and her father used to impart Japanese stories or Japanese mythology to her. What happened to this Hiromi Goto was she used to tell all these Japanese mythologies and Japanese stories, and her breakfast itself is, and her lunch itself, everything is related to Japan because she is directly coming out of a Japanese home. So her food, her dressing, not at all dressing style, but the students wanted her to wear kimono. That is, we know that it is a traditional Japanese dress. She is telling that everywhere, wherever she goes, she is associated with some Japanese symbols, that is, the Japanese images like her food, her appearance, the way of she is talking everywhere. Her, by seeing her photograph, what happens? She herself feels that she is the other person, that is, she does not belong to the normal people because she is from the other category. The poem itself is written in an unconventional manner, not in a stanzaic structure. We cannot categorize it into stanzas because sometimes even letters are uh, picked out as lines, and her photograph is there, her eyes, that is a picture of eyes are there, everything related to the discrimination are being put forward or put there in this poem. She is from the hybrid existence, that is, hybrid means a mixture of the two, that is, mixture of the Japanese and the Canadian culture. But she cannot belong to both of this culture because she is neither Japanese nor Canadian. That is the problem or dilemma of this Hiromi Goto. She is a representative of the whole immigrants from Japan or from the Mongolian side who are living in the West. Wherever we go, we know that our cultural identity will be there. We know that a lot of Indians are migrated to America. But what happens to their children? They cannot change the appearance of their children from the Indian appearance. Even though they speak English very good, very beautifully, very nicely, or they fit into the American culture, but they cannot change their physical appearance at all. Some biased images are there. Her eyes, her visions are slanted. This is the assumption of the white people or the normal people, that as her eyes are very short and slanted, that is, her vision may be like that. Then she can see more as her perspective, and she is telling that as she has landed, as she can see more because her vision is very wider, but the vision of the Europeans or the Canadians are very shorter or very narrowed. Oblique and slanting are the words used for stereotyping. That is, oblique, her vision is very slanting, and obliqueness that made her unique, different from others. And she is taking it as a privilege, actually. We know that the dressing style as well as the food is very much related to our culture. Even they are living in Canada, her mother is cooking Japanese food because her taste, their tongue will be always set for the Japanese food. Her lunchbox reveals that she is from Japan, not from Canada. Exacto knife is an image here put forward because she wanted to, like all the Japanese or the Mongolian women who are living in Canada, are just want to peel off their skin as well as their body and to wear the European or the white appearance. That is exacto nice. That is the image of plastic surgery, and most of them are doing plastic surgery in order to remove all their Japanese elements. She is being called as colored. We know that whites are calling non-whites as colored people. Then she is asking her, one of her friends who has called her as colored, that whether white is also a color. We know that white is also a color. So they are also colored people. And her friends used to ask her whether she is wearing kimono. Kimono means the wedding dress of a Japanese woman. That is, and it is also kimono is the correct pronunciation. Kimoni, that is the mispronunciation of the Canadian whites on kimono. They wanted to know more about Zen and Buddhism, the rituals like harakiri, etc. Everything is mispronounced. That is why it is written like this. Someone came to know that she is a writer and asked about Japanese haiku, and she will be able to write Japanese haikus. We know that haiku haiku is a short poem of 3 or 4 lines, and she used to write different types of poems, long poems, for example. But everyone is telling that whether she can write Japanese haikus. She is categorized. Japanese, all the Japanese writers are categorized as haiku writers by the whites or the Canadians. She used to write about the Canadian landscapes and romance, everything other than the Japanese things, because she was unaware of the Japanese landscapes. She was very much familiar with the Canadian landscape. So she used to write poems on Canadian landscapes, but her friends used to tease her by saying that she is only writing Japanese haikus. Then she says that the culture is something that lies on her body quite naturally. She is not at all inhibited or not at all painted her body like that, because she was born like that. My health, my body, my politic is the conclusion made by our writer at the end. She is born like a Japanese woman because she belongs to a Japanese family, even though they are living in Canada. So what's wrong with her appearance? This is the last question asked by the writer. Hope you have understood the poem by Hiromi Goto, that's the body politic. Okay, don't forget to write down notes while you are listening to the video. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.